Success is largely based on what you realize. Everything you realize informs the decisions you make. And people picks are both getting you closer to what you wish to have or increasing the space between you and your ultimate ambitions in lifestyles. Many persons want to be taught better and faster, retain extra understanding, and be capable to use that potential on the correct time. But the fact is that we overlook quite a lot of what we gain knowledge of. Human forgetting follows a sample. Correctly, research shows that inside only 1 hour, if nothing is done with new knowledge, most humans may have forgotten about 50% of what they discovered. After 24 hours, this quantity increases to 70%, and if a week passes without that information being used, up to 90% of it would be lost. To beef up talent's acquisition and retention, new understanding must be consolidated and securely stored in long-term reminiscence. In step with Elizabeth Bjork, Ph.D., a professor of cognitive psychology at UCLA who labored on a conception of forgetting together with Peter Wozniak, a Polish researcher satisfactory known for his work on supermemo, a finding-out method established on spaced repetition. Lengthy time period reminiscence may also be characterized through two components: retrieval strength and storage strength. Retrieval force measures how probably you are to consider something right now, or how close it's to the outside of your intellect. Storage force measures how deeply the memory is rooted. Research suggests that within just 1 hour, if nothing is finished with new knowledge, most individuals could have forgotten about 50% of what they realized. If we would like our learning to stick, we must do extra than just aim to read an e-book every week or passively hearken to an audiobook or podcast. Instead, reread chapters you didn't comprehend the primary time, write down or practice what you discovered the prior week earlier than carrying on with to the next chapter or lesson, or take notes, if that works for you. In case you are struggling to keep in mind, consult with the know-how. Via forcing yourself to don't forget earlier knowledge, you're cementing the brand new abilities in your mind. Research shows that once a reminiscence is first recorded within the brain, chiefly in the hippocampus, it's still fragile and quite simply forgotten. Our brains are regularly recording understanding on a transitory groundwork to separate relevant know-how from the litter, scraps of conversations you hear for your way to work, matters you see, what the person in entrance of you used to be carrying, discussions at work, and many others. The brain dumps the whole lot that doesn't come up once more within the recent future as soon as viable to make way for new expertise. If you wish to do not forget or use new information someday, you must intentionally work on storing it for your lengthy time period memory. This system is referred to as encoding, imprinting understanding into the mind. Without appropriate encoding, there may be nothing to retailer, and makes an attempt to retrieve the reminiscence later will fail. Within the late 19th century, Hermann Ebbinghaus, a psychologist, was the primary to systematically sort out the analysis of reminiscence. His forgetting curve, which explains the decline of reminiscence retention in time, contributed to the field of memory science by means of recording how the mind outlets expertise. Ebbinghaus as soon as mentioned, with any tremendous quantity of repetitions, a suitable distribution of them over a space of time is decidedly extra nice than the massing of them at a single time. In a College of Waterloo report that appears at How We Fail to Remember, the authors argue that while you intentionally bear in mind something you've learned or obvious now not lengthy ago, you send a tremendous signal to your mind to preserve onto that information. They explain, when the equal factor is repeated, your brain says, oh, there it is once more, I higher preserve that. When you're exposed to the identical know-how repeatedly, it takes less and less time to spark off the information for your long-term memory, and it becomes less difficult for you to retrieve the expertise when you want it. Most lifelong finding out will inevitably involve some studying and listening, but with the aid of utilizing a type of systems to commit new abilities to reminiscence, you're going to cement new understanding quicker and higher. Spaced repetition. One system is spaced repetition, repeating consumption of what you are trying to preserve over a period of time. For instance, while you read a publication and really enjoy it, alternatively of placing it away, reread it once more after a month, then again after 3 months, however after 6 months, and then again after a year. Spaced repetition leverages the spacing outcomes, a reminiscence phenomenon that describes how our brains be taught higher once we separate out expertise over time. Finding out whatever new drives out historical expertise in the event you don't permit adequate time for new neural connection to solidify. The 50-50 rule: commit 50% of your time to finding out something new and the leisure of your time to sharing or explaining what you've got realized to anybody or your audience. Research suggests that explaining an idea to any individual else is the nice strategy to gain knowledge of it yourself. The 50-50 rule is a better approach to be trained, method, maintain, and don't forget know-how. For example, alternatively of completing a e-book, purpose to read one half, and try recalling, sharing, or writing down the important thing suggestions you've realized earlier than proceeding. Or better nonetheless, share that new abilities along with your viewers. You might even apply the 50-50 rule to individual chapters as a substitute of the entire e-book. This finding out method works really well if you happen to goal to maintain most of what are finding out. The excellent scan of your expertise is your potential to transfer it to a further character. The excellent technique to be taught something real is to instruct it, not simply considering the fact that explaining it helps you recognize it, but also because retrieving it helps you do not forget it, says Adam Supply. Subject demonstrations. An additional valuable process is to take advantage of matter demonstrations to recognize a subject matter inside out. Unlike effortlessly reading or listening to an explanation, demonstrations show you how something works and aid you visualize the suggestion. When learning images, design, public speaking, negotiation, or a valuable new technology, looking at tutorial videos that display what you're seeking to learn can improve your retention expense. Sleep. Finally, use sleep as a powerful support between finding out sessions. Sleep after studying is an important part of the memory production procedure, and sleep earlier than studying strengthens your capability. Proof indicates that short naps aid make stronger realized fabric. The authors provide an explanation for, we endorse that the mere onset of sleep may provoke active methods of consolidation which, once brought on, stay robust even if sleep is terminated shortly after. The outcome exhibit that even a period of sleep is adequate to help you keep in mind what you've realized. Longer naps, 60+ minutes, are additionally excellent for storing new know-how into our permanent reminiscence. A just right night's sleep is even better for reminiscence to not forget and clear pondering. The extra the intellect is used, the extra powerful memory can emerge as. Taking manage of information storage will not most effective support you keep new bits of information but additionally make stronger and refine the talents you already have.